Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's constantly crazy, right? And probably to the point now that everyone's starting to get a little tired of it because, as always with things, they just drag them and drag them and drag them out. Apparently, we're going to hear from Joe Biden tonight in the Oval Office, some type of official presidential speech. I don't know. That's what they're saying. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? I mean, it's crazy, and there's definitely something afoot because just the weirdness and how they're handling all this seems to be suspicious. Yesterday, it was reported that one of the largest IT holding companies for the Pentagon was hacked. Leidos, something like that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the business name correctly. It doesn't matter. But apparently this hack happened, and potentially lots and lots of documents was collected, taken from the Pentagon. I mean, is this just a normal hacking, that we hear about all the time in the news? I'm kind of thinking not. I mean, I would assume that the security is pretty top of the line for something like that. I mean, I could be wrong. We've watched the government blunder over and over again, so it may not be, but you would think systems like that would be probably some of the best secured in the world. And for them to get hacked, and the reason why they got hacked, who knows? At least they're not going to tell us the real reasons. I tend to think that this is part of a World War theory. Yeah, that we're seeing Russia and China and become emboldened, not so much because of what they're doing, I mean, in some ways, but because of what America is or isn't doing. And as we all know, both of those nations really like to use the cyber attack stuff. They like the cyber warfare. And so I believe in my heart, could be wrong, that this is just another volley of shots from World War III. And that is something that we have to brace ourselves for, because it's going to be coming at us in a very different way than history's ever seen. We have this idea of World War I, World War II. Some of you are history buffs. And you've watched the movies about the wars, so you have a good idea of how they went. This one's not going to be that way, folks. I think it'll be a mixture of technology and a mixture of the old standby type of equipment. It was just in the news the other day as a little side note. Thought it was interesting that the battleship, which we haven't seen a battleship in service in a long time, but the battleship, the USS Iowa, there was a little blip in the news about a week ago talking about how it's a museum, right? It's a museum ship. You can go and view it and everything, but how that it is kept battle ready, and with the possibility of it ever having to go back in service again because of a big war. I mean, I don't know. Do they still have guys training on how to work those battleships? It's not like, again, a Hollywood movie. But I just thought it was interesting that was kind of mentioned in the little news clip that I read. It's going to be it's going to throw, I think, a lot of people off, because you've also got the modern technology, the cyber warfare, which is definitely a form of warfare. And because America is not in the same place that it once was. America used to be a very independent nation. We were kind of very nationalist in the sense that we were sort of closed off from the rest of the world. We kind of left everyone alone, and we were able to produce anything that we needed. Well, those days have long since gone, folks. We meddle in everybody else's business. We've created enemies all over the planet, and we're hyper dependent upon everyone else and not us. And so when this war gets really kicked off, I don't see how it's going to be a good thing. On top of that, America militarily isn't anywhere near its full strength of what it once was. While we do have amazing technology, we have some of the best equipment on the planet when it comes to military equipment, and we have some of the best trained special operators on the planet. But our forces have become smaller and smaller and weaker because of diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI stuff, all of that. You know, we've got to allow everybody in and be super tolerant of everything, and we've got to tone down our training. We don't want to hurt people and offend people, so we have to make it more, you know, a lower standard so that everybody can get in. The whole world has been watching this happen. Countries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and many others have been watching this happen. They're also watching what's happening right now. That there's been an attempted assassination on a former president that's currently running for office, a current president that has been MIA for a week, and all of these speculations and assumptions of what's going on, while it looks like he's been handing over the reins to other people, and then out of nowhere pops up, acts like nothing ever happened, and apparently is going to speak tonight. The whole world is watching this happen. They're also watching the likely front runner at this point for presidency is someone that is used to be very hated by the Democrat Party and is the most underqualified person they could just about pick to be the president. As much as you and I want to laugh and to make comments on all of this, other nations are watching it too. They're paying attention to what's going on, and you know it has to embolden them. And so with this recent cyber attack and the verbiage and language of folks like Vladimir Putin in China and Iran and others, has to make me believe that we're inching closer and closer, very close, to a World War III scenario. As far as how it's going to affect us, well, number one, what is different about this one than past ones, it could very well affect us here in the homeland. It could affect us right here. Maybe, maybe not, but it certainly has the potential for that. It's definitely going to affect us in our economy. It's going to affect us in our supply chain. You know, I said yesterday, and I've said it multiple times today, other times, about how so much of our goods come from overseas. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people, and as preppers, you should be well aware of this. I'm not just speaking of the stuff that you buy in a store that says made in Taiwan or made in Bangladesh or made in China or wherever. I'm also talking about a lot of items that are made in the United States, but the raw materials for them come from China, or come from a nation that China has some control over those raw materials. In fact, it's estimated that China controls somewhere about around 80% of the world's rare earth minerals, and it has a pretty large control of raw materials in general. So it's becoming very, very difficult to find something truly American, a product that's 100% American, and even the raw materials for it doesn't come from overseas. That's very different than how it was back in World War II or the beginning. We're hyper-dependent upon the rest of the world. And when things start to go crazy and shipping slows down and trade agreements fall apart because of war, where are we going to get all of our stuff? You can sit there and talk about how you buy American made all the time, but how much of that stuff that says made in the USA truly is from completely the USA? Very, very little of it is the answer. And so it's going to affect us greatly, probably more so than the previous world wars. There most likely will be rationing. We could even see government confiscation of private property for the war effort. Yes, that is legal. We could see the suspension of certain rights under martial law. Yep. Technically, they can do that. I don't know that it's legal or constitutional, but they've passed executive orders and laws setting themselves up for that. We've also got to remember that there are tens of millions of illegals into this country. And while not every one of them are here to do bad things, a lot of them are. A lot of them are foreign operatives, and a lot of them they just don't like anything. They've come here to take what they can. And when they start to see things fall apart, they'll probably take advantage of it. We also have to realize that our own society, the American society, is falling apart and is constantly fighting each other to the point that it is bloody and it is deadly in the city streets of America many times. And there's this deep hatred and intolerance for each other. And that will get worse also. So as the Biden administration and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and whoever's trying to whack him all is playing out before the world's eyes, what it's also telling the world is that we are very weak right now. We are very vulnerable. And if there was ever a time to make a move because things are advantageous to them, it probably would be somewhere around now. And so as much as you've got your eyes focused on what's going on with Biden, the Trump investigation of his attempted assassination, economy, all this other stuff, we have to realize that there's a very real possibility that America could become attacked, or that one of our satellite posts in another country or one of our close allies could be attacked because of America's weakness. This is something that just hardly ever gets talked about, and we have to pay attention and wake up to that. We have to get ready for it, because while it may not happen, the weaker America looks, and it's just a day-by-day thing of how America's looking so weak, it increases the odds that some other nation or group of nations will take advantage of that moment. So we got to get ready for that, folks. Is it going to be like a Red Dawn moment? I would say probably not, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to feel it here in the United States. And we have to be ready for that. Need to be getting our houses in order and preparing ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.